Good.
Everything comes and goes in stages. Let the synapse rest over the world where you're hanging weightless on the precipice. I'm going out on a limb where the clouds start to fail, where my heart is stupid grin. Out on a limb. Out on a limb, out on a limb.
Hey there folks, what is going on? My name is Blue and welcome to the 9th ESL Weekly 2 vs 2 Cup. I'm going to be casting solo today and we are just about ready to go, but once again taking a look, we have a very large cup, I believe a full 16-team 2v2 tournament. Plenty of teams today, lots of teams returning from the previous weeks once again here, such as, once again, Bird is the Word. I believe they have been dominating the European 2v2 Cups for some time. They're going to be making their return this week. Mega Kangishkan with players like Bullet on it are going to be coming back this week. We also have Fishchicken Loves Naya, so lots of action to look forward to today. We're going to be covering the bottom half of the bracket on stream. The top half, unfortunately, will not be streamed, but that'll be linked up as I believe we get to the semifinals or the grand finals. We'll be catching up with the winners from that, and I'll obviously be updating you as we go throughout the tournament. But we are pretty much ready to go with our first match here, which is going to end up being Bad Society versus Elemental Juice Glass. So let's head into the game cameras, guys, to check out our teams. First of all, on the red team, we're going to be having Bad Society. So taking a look at very quickly at their builds, we're going to be having Caitlyn Greaves, and they'll be running, by the way, a Warrior and Engineer composition here, so somewhat bulky. Running again here, Caitlyn Greaves with 00626. He'll be playing Soldier's Handbow. Somewhat tanky, he'll be lacking a little bit of damage due to the choice of a Soldier's Amulet, but he'll be very good for kind of controlling the scenarios as well. Tyron Graves, however, I believe should be able to make up for that damage as he is playing full-on Condi Engie. Gonna be a little bit squishy due to this, but again, Engineers in general can be rather bulky individuals if they're using cooldowns properly, so he'll still be able to take quite a beating here. And as well, he'll be dishing out a lot of condition damage to his opponents. Both of these guys actually might have to watch out for that, so it might end up being a little bit of trouble for them, especially if the Hammer Longbow Warrior is causing them some trouble. Speaking of which, for the blue team, Elemental Juice Glass, we have Orange, and apologies if I cannot pronounce his name, but we have, I'm going to call him Orange, or Orange over here, on Necromancer first. He's going to be playing Condi Necro, fairly typical build here, 06404 with Carrion and Nightmare Runes. Lots of Condi spread to come out from him here, but he will obviously, as he's a Necro, be somewhat squishy and not really have too many ways to get out of combat, so he's going to be very reliant on this Summon Flesh Form to make sure that he stays in good positioning for a lot of these fights. Last but not least, we once again have Kuve playing Elementalist. I believe he will be playing DD, and indeed that is the case. No Blasting Staff trait to be found here, so it'll be DD Celestial Strength here. Nothing too out of the ordinary with this. Very bulky build, can deal a lot of damage. It'll be stacking up might stacks as the fight goes on due to the Rune of Strength there and getting more and more powerful, and due to the fact that he's running with Celestial, his healing and cleansing abilities are going to be getting quite a bit of a boost in the water attunement there as well. So with that said, guys, the build's out of the way. We are pretty much ready to get started here. As soon as our teams have readied up, which they have just done, we're going to get started with round one. As a reminder, all the sets, with the exception of the grand finals, are a best of 3, which means the first team to 2 points will move on to the next round, and the loser will be eliminated from the event. But anyway, guys, game getting started here. Gate's going to be opening up in 3 seconds. So let us begin.
Let's get this started.
And again, moving out of the gates here, we are going to be seeing the blue team holding back a little bit. Kuve going to push forward, see if he can bait out some damage. Specifically, I believe Tyron may try to toss some grenades, but there is going to be a stealth play coming out. Tyron connects a magnet pull into Orange Glass once again, but good Good or good knockback coming out there from Cube once again, manages to get them off of Orange for the time being. Orange, however, does have to make somewhat of a hasty retreat, falls back over here towards the back, but that'll give them much better positioning over here. In the meantime, the rest of the red team is trying to get some harassment going on to Cube, but we saw a very nice corrupt boon connecting over here onto Tyron Greaves, doing so much damage to him. Unfortunately, did not seem to have adequate cleansing to take him down, but you did see the Warrior try to go for a banner there, but again, it got interrupted due to a fear coming in from Orange. Fear Mark specifically, I believe, was the thing that managed to interrupt that. And with that said, second attempt to resin comes in now, but it's not going to be enough. Banner goes down, does not actually get Tyron back up though, and as well, Catelyn falls to Condes. So with that said, round 1 there, going to end very quickly in the favor of Elemental Juice Glass, which means they are just 1 game away from moving on to the next round. Now, talking a bit about that there, what we ended up seeing is it was actually a pretty good opener for the red team, that specifically that stealth pull going off, but unfortunately, again, the Necromancer there, Orange, when he did get pulled in there, had access to the Summon Flesh room, so it was not really too hard for him to get out of there once again. This is kind of a bonus that the blue team gains if they are able to fight away. Something that you're going to have to always do, I've noticed, in 2v2 fights versus a Necromancer, is you always have to try and force them into a corner, force them to fight around that worm. That's really his only option of escape. Without that, he's really relying completely on Death Shroud and just his general defensive stats to keep himself up and running, and if he's not able to get out of the way, then he's going to die very, very quickly. So I think just pushing for a straight-up mid-fight may not have been the best option. They may want to try to bait out the fight a little bit longer, see if they can control the scenario where they end up fighting, and then hope that, again, they can get a little bit better positioning, because that unfortunately did end up screwing it over. Had Orange not had the ability to retreat, or not had the ability to get far enough away from that, I think that, again, Red Team might have been able to lock him down one more time, but unfortunately, as he got that full retreat off, it really just screwed things over, and Cube was able to come in there, take the damage, and then once Orange got himself back in, the Connies just ticked really quickly on the Tyron, especially with that very nice corrupt boon that he managed to get off there. Tyron has to be a little bit careful of things like that there as well, and that unfortunately seemed to end the game as blue team had very good control over the scenario. But once again here, guys, as soon as our teams are ready for round 2, we'll get started with that. If Elemental wins, they're moving on. If Bad Society wins, we go to round 3.
The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy.
Alright, and here we go, guys. Once again, gates will be opening up in 8 seconds. It's round 2 now of Bad Society versus Elemental Juice Glass. Elemental Juice Glass looking very strong after that first round there, but let's see once again if Red Team is going to do anything different to try and change their luck this time. Going over to Tyron Graves' point of view to start off this match. We are going to see the blue team getting a lot more confident this time, rushing directly into their base here. As you can see, unfortunately, in a huge span of AoE, we're going to see a lot of Connies ticking off here. Tyron almost immediately popping Elixir S. He's going to get forced out of the way here once again. As well, we did see another Fear connecting over here onto him, but Kuve gets locked down with an Immobilize here. This is the opportunity they need to do. Have to be careful of that Lightning Field. Another Corrupt Boon connects over here onto Tyron Graves. Tyron needs to cleanse this, but he's still 10 seconds away from a healing turret. Might be forced to throw it on the supply crate in order to get the healing kit, in order to get some healing kits off there. But again, not seeing that come down, and unfortunately, because he didn't, he's going to fall into the downstate. Catelyn should have access to a banner here, but the last time we saw that it also got interrupted. Still going for a mana res, and this is where Catelyn actually gets a pretty big up because of the fact that he is running with a Soldier's Amulet here. He is going to be able to tank a lot of that damage a lot better, and with that was able to kind of brute force the res on the Tyron Graves. Now, he's still going to have to do a much better job of peeling for his teammate here, because as you can see, he's still under so much pressure, and unfortunately, Tyron is just not doing too good of a job of staying away from this. Kuve even throwing down the FGS now to try and keep some more pressure onto him. Catelyn does connect another Immobilize, I believe, on the Kuve. Net Turret also assisting with that, and Kuve now finally getting locked down. This is where the red team could possibly turn their luck around too, but Kuve getting Anthem Renewal off. It does connect with a pull, as we see Tyron getting that off once again, and another Immobilize on the Kuve, but now Orange is back in play, and that's going to be dangerous for Tyron here if he's not paying attention. We're going to switch our point of view over onto Orange to see how he's handling this. Has Corrupt Boon up, has the Worm ready to go here too, but if he gets into a very, very bad spot here, gets knocked down, thankfully able to get away though, and pop off CC, and he'll just roll away from the fight once more. And other than that, we're seeing at the moment both teams kind of passively falling back. Kuve, although he was very low a few seconds ago, was actually able to get pretty much full health back, unfortunately. So with that said, once again, the advantage of the fight is going to shift very heavily into the favor of the blue team here, and Tyron taking another heavy Condi spike, I believe, as we're seeing here at the moment. He's probably going to fall into the downstate in just another second. Now, keep in mind, too, is that actually no nice heal that comes out there from Tyron, but things to keep in mind here, too, is red team's not completely out if this banner goes down. Orange may have access to a Fear, but if Catelyn can get stability up or something, and assuming it doesn't get corrupted, we can still see another banner play coming out out here. Now we are going to see another attempt at a brute force res, but a very nice corrupt boon comes off onto Catelyn, and that as well, that's going to end the game, guys. Very good lockdown from the blue team to end the fight there. And with that said, Elemental Juice Glass is going to score a 2-0 victory here in our first game of the day, and they will now be moving on to the next round. And with that said, guys, we're going to take about a 1 to 2 minute break here while we get our next teams in. Shouldn't take too long at all, but as soon as our guys are ready to go, we should be moving on to Team Crow versus Mega Kangaskhan Balanced. Be right back, guys. Alright, and that was extremely quick. I don't even think that was a minute. But we are back now with the second game here in the round of 16 between Team Crow and Mega Kangaskhan Balance. We're still waiting on one member of the blue team to check up here, but very quickly going over the builds themselves. It seems we have 2 DPS Guardians in play, as Bullet will more than likely obviously be playing that. First off, though, we have a Legendary over here for Team Crow, running with Zerker and Pirate Runes, along with Hammer, Scepter, and Focus, with the traits being 2-1-6-1-4. The trait split fairly standard for a DPS Guardian. Hammer is still a bit of an odd choice, but it can definitely have quite a bit of a surprise punch on squishier targets, so Texby may have to watch out for that sort of thing. Moving on from that, you've also got Elementalist over here running with Celestial. I believe that he also will be playing DD. Yep, pretty much the same build we saw Kuve running the last time, so rather bulky. Lots of support to give Legendary, as well as kind of stacking up damage as the fight goes on. Moving on to the blue team very quickly, Texby playing Engineer here. Pretty much the same thing that we saw the NG the last game playing here too, another Condi build with 60062. The full 6 points into Alchemy does tend to indicate a little bit more of a defensive split here with backpack regen and protection injection, but this has kind of become the standard for Condi NGs as well. Very rarely do we see some of the old splits like we used to see with 62042 or something like that. This is generally speaking become the standard. And then of course we do have the famous Bullet has Chainsaw over here playing his usual DPS Guardian build 2-1-6-1-4 with Zerker's Strength, as well as the big Greatsword, so lots of big AoE cleave, especially if you can get within melee range of a target, as well as Scepter and Focus will be coming out from him. So this again will probably be a pretty quick game, to be honest here. Not too many bunky characters. The tankiest character is probably going to be Elementalist, to be completely honest, so we'll probably be seeing these rounds go very quickly, but they'll be very intense matches indeed, as both these comps are power focused. But anyway, guys, we are pretty much ready to go. Let us get started.
The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy. Refreshing.
Alright, and with the gates opening, nothing too interesting. Nobody going to be making use of the Northern Chokehold or anything like that, so we'll be seeing a pretty typical opener here. Trying to see if anybody's going to be going super aggressive. Texby will probably push forward here to just toss some grenades in into the mess here. And yep, that is going to be the case. We do see Legendary managing to get a smite down. Gets a little bit of damage off on a Texby, which again, that'll end up throwing him into combat, but both these guys are probably going to be diving at each other in just a second. And they have actually chosen the south side here too. And now the geography of the south side will allow guys to kind of jump down, but again, it's very quickly changing as blue team pushing directly in over here to Team Crow's territory. Going to be trying to lock down, I believe, over here Legendary as the primary target at the moment. We do see Elementalist trying to go for a Churning Earth, unfortunately unsuccessful in so, but Bullet locking down some big deeps over here on the Legendary Guardian, forcing the pop of his big heal. Renewed Focus also being used by Legendary Guardian. He is not in the best spot here right now. Elementalist needs to get some heals off onto him. He's doing the best he can, but unfortunately it's not enough there. He goes into the down state. No blind to be had here from Bullet, but at the same... Oh, yep, there we go. The knockback does end up connecting, and with that, we actually did see Guardian and get back up. Another thing to keep in mind here, too, is that Texby got dangerously low in the process, but unfortunately, Red Team was far too focused on self-survivability, and because of that, they ended up allowing Texby to full heal. But at the same time, when they all got back up, Bullet went far too deep into their territory, and now he's into the downstate as well. Elementalist comes in, connects the stomp, leaving only Texby up and alive, and unfortunately, due to the health pools here, I don't believe Blue Team, Texby specifically, is going to be able to make any sort of comeback here. So more than likely, as soon as Texby gets locked down and knocked out of play, I think we're going to be seeing Team Crow take game 1. Like I was saying there. Oh, wait, hold on. Legendary goes down, but, he gets back up there. Texby's going to get his heal off, but unfortunately, yeah, just got to lock him down here for a second. And he should be able to get him. He's got this burn tick on him. No way to cleanse that, so that burn tick should throw him into the downstate. And there you go. Alright, was looking a bit close there for a second, but did end up favoring the red team anyway. So congrats Team Crow. They're taking round 1. They're now at the match point here, so if they take this next one as well, they will move on to the round of 8. But again, like I said, very quick games, lots of bursts. People have to be very, very careful with their positioning and as well make sure, especially with the 2 DPS Guardians in play. Keep in mind, again, the DPS Guardian is very much sort of an all-in kind of build. You dive in with that build, you are not leaving that fight unless your opponents pull out or you kill your opponents or they kill you. So again, as we saw there, Bullet ended up falling for that trap, dived in. We saw Elementalist going down, but unfortunately Texby had taken too much damage and was unable to assist with the full stomp going on the Guardian there, and because of that, Elementalist was able to get Guardian back up into play, and because Bullet was kind of all on his lonesome there and had already been engaged for quite some time with probably most of his medis already being popped, he unfortunately did not have much to defend himself, so Legendary and Elementalist were able to make a very nice retaliatory strike, knock him into the downstate, take him out, and then just bring things down to a 2v1 for a nice, easy cleanup there at the end of the game. So with that said here, we're going to see going into game 2, if Blue Team could do a better job. The game is going to get started in probably about 15 seconds here. So as soon as it begins, we're going to find out if we'll be seeing a 2-0 from Crow or if Mega Kangishkan will wrap it back around in their favor.
Eat my dust. Let's get this started.
Alright, and here we go, coming out of the gates again. We're going to see if there's any change-ups in the initial strategies here from the Blue Team. You can instantly see Blue Team now being a little bit more passive. Last time they kind of just dove right into their opponents. That unfortunately did not end up going so well, though. So it looks like they're going to be a little bit more passive this time. Texby, however, as we can see here at the moment, did end up diving directly, and I'm not sure if he ended up getting pulled or something, but I didn't actually see him walk in, so I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, we do see these guys in play here at the moment. We do see another attempt at a Churning Earth to come out. It actually connects on the Bullet here once again, so he's going to be forced to pop a renewed focus. Virtue of Resolve immediately getting popped after that there as well to get rid of those 8 stacks of bleeding here, and he's still under so much pressure here. Texby with a nice pull to stop Legendary temporarily, but they need to do a lot more than that, and you can just see here Texby is trying to do everything in his power to get people off of Bullet. Bullet, though, Chains of Light connects once more over here on the Bullet, goes into the downstate. Texby's going to have to try and save him here. No deeps coming in just yet. It may be able to happen, but now the red team's coming in. Wave of Light comes out from Bullet, and that'll get Bullet back up into play. Has Shelter ready to go, so now he's going to pop that off, but again, Bullet's still retaliate here at the moment, and now Texby's getting low as well. So much DPS on the Bullet. He goes into the downstate. Texby's so low here, too. Red team may just go for the quick target swap to end the fight right there, and Texby not out yet, does get that nice knockback, still going for a res. Symbol of Judgment will be available here in just a second, throwing that down. Texby was forced off the corpse here. He's going to try to go down, does not have an elixir R or anything, but Bullet as well, his life is still completely forfeit at the moment. We do see another attempt to get an immobilize off on a Texby, but does not connect, but at the same time, Texby was forced to bail away from Bullet's corpse, and because of that, he is now going to be alone in this fight. He will get quite a bit of his health reset, but once again, considering who is on the red team and the composition they have, this should just be another easy cleanup for Team Crow. And with that said, Mega Kangishkan, who has been making it to the grand finals of the ESL Weekly for quite some time now, is going to get eliminated in the first round. So with that said, Team Crow is now moving on, and Mega Kangishkan is out for this week. That'll be the end of this set, guys. Our next game, which I believe will be between Trading Post Campers and You Will Never Know, will be coming up here in about 1 to 2 minutes, guys. We'll be back in just a second as soon as our teams have joined and are ready to go. And welcome back once again here, guys. Whoa, my mic is... Alright, my mic's fine. Sorry about that. Heard some weird sounds. Anyway, we are coming into our... I believe it'll be our last round of 16 game. We may have one more, but I could be wrong on that one. There was another game that was supposed to happen, but the one team never ended up showing up. So I'm not sure if we skipped that game on a technicality or if we are going to just give the free win to those guys. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Anyway, we're coming now into Trading Post Campers versus You Will Never Know. Trading Post Campers here, you can see Milo Kreitzer coming into play. Somewhat of a well-known Guardian here on the European servers. I believe as well we'll be seeing another DPS Guardian play for him, and that is going to be the case here with Zerker's Strength. Pretty much the same exact build that we saw Bullet playing here. We'll have a staff for pre-game buffing, obviously, but that'll get swapped out to the Greatsword when the fight begins. Other than that, though, like I said, pretty much the same build as we saw Bullet and the other DPS Guardian playing in the last game. It's an all-in build. Once you commit it, you have no way to escape, but it has so much damage, and if you can connect it, you're going to ravage your opponents. Climax Odium playing Engineer here once again with 60044 here at the moment, running with Celestial Rifle. So again, this is a build somewhat more prone to North American servers. We see this build played a little bit more over there. EU still tends to stick to Condi Engines a little bit more, but again, this build is fairly good. Really good for skirmishing and 1v1 specifically, and I think still in this smaller team fighting, it's still in this smaller 2v2 scenario, it's going to be pretty good here as well, just because of the control that the rifle combined with the toolkit and the grenade kit is going to be able to exercise over opponents. And again, the control that Climax will have is going to be really good combo with the Guardian, so definitely expect some really good things from TPC here. Moving on from that, though, we're going to be checking out You Will Never Know. Sir Viper over here on Thief at the moment, I believe, will be playing a pretty usual SD build. 20066 with Zerkers and Strength, so lots of dodges. That will actually be pretty good versus Milo Kreitzer, as again, DPS Guardians usually just tend to be a straight-up hard counter versus Thieves, but the extra dodges that Sir Viper will have should serve to counter that out a little bit. He still will have to be extremely careful not to get hit on when he isn't kind of in the dodge phase, though. But once again, this build doesn't have too much damage compared to at least, like, you know, what you would normally see with a 26006 DP Thief. It does kind of stack up damage as the fight goes on, very similarly to that Celestial DD Ellie we were talking about earlier, but it does have quite a bit of poke and pull. It has a lot of dodges, and it's a very hard build to catch, so we'll be seeing that played here. And then Ario, another oh my goodness, well, this is a little bit different, but another DPS Guardian here. He's running with Greatsword, not running with Zerkers, running with Knights here, actually, so we'll be getting a little bit of extra toughness in play there. Only 11.8k health, though, so again, if he's up against Condis, which Climax is going to have a little bit of that is going to be some trouble for him. Also running with Runes of the Flame Legion, too. Oh, he has left the team. But I think he's rejoining now. There we go. I think it was just misclicked there. Runes of the Flame Legion 2 will give him a little bit of an extra damage boost there once he gets burning onto his opponents through Virtue of Justice or other means there. But other than that, 20624. Not going for the extra point here into Radiance, instead going for Honor in order to get Resolute Healer here. And that'll be very good in my opinion, but unfortunately might be a little bit overcompensating. When the Thief goes down, I think this team will have adequate enough Corpse Sleeve to keep him down, so that trait might be a little bit overboard, as I honestly don't think they'll even be able to get the Thief back up once he goes down. But, like I said, I could be proved wrong. So as soon as these guys are ready to go, we'll get started.
The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy. Let's get this started.
Alright guys, once again, first game getting started here. This is a best of 3. First team to 2 moves on. We are going to see SR being used at the opener here by Sir Viper. Pushing forward. They are going to encroach on the red team's territory here in just a second. Red team as well catches onto that though and falls back. Climax Odium specifically does get engaged on by the Thief, but Climax Odium immediately forced to pop his heal too. Milo Kreitzer going to strike in for some revenge, but Sir Viper doing a very good job of dodging around, trying to keep himself onto Climax. Climax, as you can see here, not really able to exercise too much control over his opponents, but at the same time, as you can see, Arya Schwartod is not doing so good here either at the moment, just due to the fact that, again, we also saw the DPS Guardian doing quite a bit of deeps to him. Climax is now going to come over here to try and get some more Corpse Sleeve off onto Arya, but look how low both the members of the red team are here. Climax, thankfully, has Supply Crate ready to throw down. He's going to be able to run over those healing kits, and with Arya being completely dead, I believe we'll be seeing a very quick end to the round 1 here. Pool comes off from Climax, knockback with an overcharge shot, and that'll end the game right there in favor of the red squad. So very nicely done by TPC. They're going to take game 1, and they will now be 1 victory away from moving on there. Blue team, very good opener. But unfortunately, again, as we saw, Red Team was able to exercise that control specifically over Arya Schwertwood. I think, again, we weren't really paying too much attention to that fight specifically, but there was a kind of disconnected 1v1 that we had happening there between Milo as well as Arya. And unfortunately, it looked like Milo had the better advantage there, and I definitely kind of agree with that. Milo's build, I think, is a little bit more typical for what we would expect from DPS Guardians. Another thing to keep in mind there, too, is the extra 3k health that Milo Kreitz is going to have available here. So with a lot of the cover condies that the Engineer was already going to be throwing on to Arya, causing her trouble, slowing her down there, it's just going to make it that much harder for Arya to keep herself up and alive as Milo Kreitz just dives in there with a huge, overwhelming DPS that we always see coming into play from DPS Guardians there. So with that said, will we see an adjustment? I don't believe so, but if we don't, Blue Team is going to have to be that much more careful going into the next game, as once again we saw that there they unfortunately did not have much coverage, and there isn't really much coverage they can kind of get here, at least with these 2 classes. They are allowed to change classes, obviously, but I don't think we'll be seeing that either. They do just have to be a little bit more careful with their playstyle, possibly let their opponents engage onto them, get them into a trap here, and go for a very quick spike burst on the Arya possibly, but then you've also got to worry about retaliation, or a very quick spike burst on the Milo Kreitz specifically. Sorry, I was talking about the wrong teams there. But then they got to be careful for retaliation and things like that, so it's definitely going to be a tough fight here for You Will Never Know. But once again, they still have that opportunity, so as we head into the second game here in just a second, we are going to be seeing who will take it, Trading Post Campers or You Will Never Know, and who will be moving on to the round of 8.
The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy.
Alright guys, and here we go. Game 2 between Trading Post Campers and You Will Never Know. Getting started, as Duke Nukem just told us. And we are going to see Red Team again. They're holding back here. Definitely a good strategy. It does allow Climax over here to toss grenades. And Milo, though, gets engaged on first this time. Bit of a change-up from the previous time. We did see the pool getting connected onto both members of the Red Team here. Also, a nice damage spike comes out there from Arya onto Milo. But again, Milo's going to try to go for that revenge play once again over here onto Arya. And Arya not handling this damage very well. Forced to pop almost all of her cooldowns in a single moment there. As you saw, the block, the triple block on focus, channeled immediately into the heal, channeled immediately into renewed focus, is going to leave her extremely vulnerable here. NG as well coming down with the kit is going to, or with the crate, is going to knock Arya out of play. So much chaos caused by that crate, unfortunately, and Arya just having nothing left to escape that. Milo Kreitz is still extremely low here. There is a chance for Viper to gimp, but now that we've seen the shelter go off, that chance is all but diminished. He still has a small opportunity here if he can take out Milo, especially considering how far away Milo is currently from Climax. But once again, here they are regrouping, and it seems as though the Viper's chance has dissipated. So with that said, I think that Trading Post Campers should be scoring the 2-0 victory here in round 1, which will earn them their ticket to the round of 8. Just waiting here for the elimination of Viper. Viper is still going to try to keep himself alive. Very good job of dodging out of the way, but that emo connected with the poison, bleed, and burn ticks there will finally be enough. Viper's going down, guys. So with that, TPC's moving on, and You Will Never Know is going to get knocked out here in round 1. So with that said, that is actually to update on what was going on with the first game there, too. That is actually the end of the round of 16 here, at least of course in the bottom half of the brackets, to update you all very quickly on who ended up moving on and ended up being in the top half. And at least we only have the top part of the top half, unfortunately. But we saw Dinner for Two making it to the quarterfinals. We Wreck You Pay has also made it on. Still waiting on updates from the matches from Purple Oistili and 2v1 only, as well as Zereldo and Yen on Advent versus Bird is the Word. Once we get those results, we'll update you. But as well, down here we saw Fishchicken moving on. We saw Elemental Juice Glass moving on. Team Crow moved on, and as you just saw there, Trading Post Campers moved on to the round of 8. We're now going to move into the round of 8 here, guys. Our first game should end up being between Thishkin Loves Anaya and Elemental Juice Glass. So stick around, and we will have that game coming up in probably about 30 seconds to a minute. We'll be back. We'll just turn up the tunes for a couple seconds here so we can change up the overlays, get everybody set up, and we'll be right back in just a second. Alright guys, coming back to you now once again here now from the round of 8 or quarterfinals of this week's 2-on-2 Cup. We have Thishkin Loves Naya, who we're going to be seeing play for the first time today. They ended up getting a default win in round 1 due to a no-show of their opponents. And they'll be taking on Elemental Juice Glass with Kuve and Orange over here. So taking a quick look at the builds for Thishkin Loves Naya once again. The quintessential 2v2 combo, if I do say so myself. This build specific, or this combo specifically on North America, when Cade and Tanny used to play this, dominated for 14 or 15 consecutive cups. Every single cup they made it to the finals with this. They didn't always win, but they always made it to the grand finals with this cup. So once again here, and that comp of course will be the Thief and Spirit Ranger combo. Taking a quick look at the build itself. We have 20066 SD Thief being utilized by Atrastia. We talked about this build a little bit in the last set. Not too much damage, a little bit more poke than it does have brute force there, but once again, the amount of dodges this build has access to is absolutely incredible, so he's probably not going to be getting hit by too much direct spike damage. Naya, of course, over here will be acting as this kind of support and Condi pressure that Atrastia will also be able to put on due to the passive effect of the spirits here. We'll be running with Karen Amulet, Runes of the Pirate, as well as the Shurpo. Naya is always a little bit interesting because Naya runs with offhand axe. We'll be seeing that utilized here too. It can actually combo pretty well because if he manages to get the 4th ability off the pull, and obviously again he has the Warhorn on for pregame buffing at the moment, but if he manages to get that pull off, that's going to be a really good kind of, that's going to be a really good kind of pre-CC that's needed for Atrastia to dive onto a target and get some more damage connected onto it. So we'll be seeing how that is kind of utilized in the game itself. And of course the traits being 20660, running with malicious training and marksmanship in order to boost the potency of his spider as well as his wolf too, getting a 50% I believe extra duration on the fear as well as the poison that the pet will be putting out will be very good too. And of course he has access to the nature spirit here, so if it's Atrastia or himself ends up going down, he can get those guys back up into play, and the passive health regeneration will also be very good. But anyway guys, we are good to go here for round 1, so as soon as our teams are ready to go, we shall get started. And don't forget as well, guys, as the ESL admins have just reminded me to plug, we are doing a gem giveaway over on the ESL Twitter. So if you go ahead over to the link that's on the overlay for Twitter, at ESL Guild Wars 2, they should have a tweet that they put out pretty recently asking for a retweet. And if you manage to retweet that tweet, as well as following the ESL Twitter account, you'll be entered for a chance to win an 800 gem code. So go head over to Twitter and check that out for your chance to win an 800 gem code. But other than that, guys, we are now ready and in the game. Gates are opening up in 2 seconds. So our first round of 8 game getting started now between Thishkin Loves Naya and Elemental Juice Glass. We are going to see both teams rushing kind of somewhat forward here. Naya does manage to dodge out of the way of that RTL there. Once again, he's going to be pretty passively played for most of this time. He'll be in the fight for a very long time here anyway, just because that's kind of how spirit ranges work. But we do have to note too that his spirits not only got brought out, but the Sun Spirit already out of play here, so he's going to be losing quite a bit of burn damage. But that's not going to matter too much. There was just a straight up lockdown going on to Orange there. Already Orange going into the down state, now forced to get rezzed up there by Kuve. Kuve probably having to use quite a few utilities in order to get this guy back up into play. You can see again all 3 of his cantrips already being used over here on Kuve's side, unfortunately. Naya though has gone down, and there actually is no Nature Spirit because of just, and again this game is going so quickly too. We saw no Nature Spirit coming out here, and unfortunately Atrastia is way too low, and as well way too squishy. But hold on, no, wait, Atrastia dives in now, gonna try to go for a stop. Kuve trying to go for a very quick res. It connects. That was a very nice attempt at a stop there by Atrastia, but unfortunately does not happen. Trying to save Naya, not gonna happen there, and as well tried to go for the res, so made himself vulnerable there for a second with Atrastia going down. That's gonna end that round. Very exciting round, granted, but will end up in the favor of Elemental Juice Glass. And with that, once again, they're just going to be one more victory away from moving on to the next round. Wow. That fight started and ended in one instance. No fallbacks from anyone in that fight. That was a very good attempt there to stop the kill into Naya by going in and trying to get a quick stomp onto Orange, but unfortunately there Kuve very quick to respond with the res. Excellent job with that too, and getting Orange back up into play and guaranteeing that Naya going down. Now unfortunately there too, a lot of people wondering, hey, why didn't the Thief just go on the Ranger and res him? And obviously, again, some players may already know this, but for those that are kind of newer to talk about this, the Thief is so squishy, cannot be taking that much direct damage at all. Unfortunately, had you have tried to go for the res there on the Naya, he would have instantly gotten bursted down and knocked out of play. He has to try and do some quick clutch plays. He has to try and take revenge on his opponents there, as again, he just cannot go for a direct res on his opponents, as that would basically spell his own death if he tried to attempt something like that. But still, very excellent play. Both teams going really hard there. We saw immediately as the fight began, everyone was taking huge amounts of damage. Their cooldowns were being popped left and right and left and right. Even saw Naya never even got an opportunity to channel out the Spirit of Nature there. You can see it's got that very long cast time to bring that actually out into play there, so really never even got an opportunity to bring that out. Somewhat unfortunate obviously, as he didn't get to save himself with that, but still, very chaotic fight, and very good job to Elemental for managing that well, and as such, they are going to take round 1 now, and will just be one short victory away from moving on to the next game. Let's update the overlays here too, to reflect that extra point.
The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy.
Alright guys, and once again here, round 2 between Thishkin Loves Naya and Elemental Juice Glass. Thishkin Loves Naya is now on the chopping block if they don't manage to bring this back. So we're going to see how they change up the strat going into game 2 now, as they got engaged on very quickly. It did not give them much time to think at all, to be completely honest here. So they are utilizing a little bit of a different strategy this time. You can see here at the moment, Naya kind of looping around to get a quick engagement going off onto Kuve there, but at the same time, nice fear connects onto both players on the red team here. Will throw them back away, but at the same time, another fear manages to go over there onto Orange. Orange. Nye's in a corner here at the moment, but not too much damage being taken because of that there, so a little bit of a poor follow-up, unfortunately. Moving away from that, though, switching our point of view for a second onto Kuve, you can see he's going for a big churning Earth channel here at the moment. I believe it ended up self-interrupting that, unfortunately, though, so not able to get those bleed stacks off onto his opponents. Nye is going to bring out the Nature Spirit a little bit early. This should, to be completely honest, give blue team the chance to DPS it down, but unfortunately, Kuve is not going to be able to do that here, as we saw Orange going down again. Both teams just sticking to such close quarters here, and as such, we saw Orange going down because he just cannot handle that much damage. That's just the kind of the crux of the Necromancer there. So he goes into the downstate. Kuve as well falls down. Naya and Atrasti both got very close to getting knocked out there too by Kuve, but in the end, a sustained fight by Thishikin Loves Naya is what they needed to win, and they took that advantage. Kuve got very close to getting Orange back up, and unfortunately, again, just a little bit too much cleave was had there by the red team, and they were now able to take things back in Game 2. So now we are tied up at 1-1, guys, and Game 3 is coming up in just a few seconds here. And again, to talk a little bit about the breakdown there, red team, or blue team again here, specifically the Necro. This is the very unfortunate thing that I talked about earlier with the positioning of the Necro. He relies so much on the ability to bail out of a fight when the going gets rough. Necros are kind of like the DPS Guardian that we were talking about earlier, in the fact that once they engage a fight, they don't really have too many ways to get back out of it. Now, granted, again, obviously with him running the Worm, he does have that kind of avenue there that he can exercise, but with a Thief in play, and this just makes it all the more dangerous. Atrasti specifically with the high mobility and the shadow steps that he has access to, he's easily able to kind of just jump behind enemy lines, DPS down that Worm, and completely disable it before Orange gets a chance to use it. And with that in play, Orange is just forced to tank all of that damage there, and unfortunately he's just not in a good position to be able to do that here. I'm not sure again if he was actually running Plague in the previous rounds, but if he is switching to that now, that would be an extremely good choice based on what we saw the last time. He knows for a fact now that he's going to be forced into fighting in these huge... He knows for a fact now that he's going to be forced to fight in these huge and long drawn-out... apologies. He's going to be forced to fight in these very long, drawn-out engagements, and because of that, going for the Plague is probably going to be a much better move in my opinion. But, hold on, has swapped through the Golem, but that'll probably just be for pre-game buffing, so we'll probably still see the Plague utilized in the game itself. So once again, though, guys, we're going to see who takes this set in just a few seconds. It's Thishikin Loves Naya versus Elemental Juice Glass. Winner of this game moves on to the semifinals. So let's see who's going to take it. We're going to start off this game by looking at Orange here. Obviously, you can see that Worm coming out into play here, too. I believe, where did he end up putting that? I don't actually see it. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere back here, though, so we'll see that used if he needs to kind of bail out here in a second. But once again, the focus goes on to him. No surprises with that. But Naya, Naya screws up, falls through the hole there, but as is Orange, though. So we are finally going to see a fight that doesn't end up happening in the same exact spot here. Orange as well does port back. Very early use of that Worm, to be honest here. Would not have used it there. That's gonna put a pretty hefty cooldown onto him and unfortunately leave him in an engagement for some time. But obviously, as you can see here, big deeps going into Orange. He's going to be forced into DS here as Atrasti connects some nice crits onto him. Kuve will now come over to support here and at the same time try and get some peels off, get Atrasti away, as again, Kuve does have a lot of that inner melee range spike that Atrasti has to be very, very careful for if he tanks too much of that there. Orange, though, just hanging on by a thread here at the moment, only 1.4k health. Lots of Condies ticked onto by Naya here, too. Naya even going for the whirling axes to get a little bit more damage off. Only 3.8k left in his DS. Out of that, does not have enough health to stay alive, so now we'll see Atrasti take him down. Kuve coming in for a res here. Interruption coming off, and as well, Naya applying lots and lots of poison. Kuve trying so hard to get him back up. Cluster bombs coming in from Atrastia. They just barely get Orange back up here, but now Kuve, I'm sure, is suffering here, forced to pop all of his cooldowns. You can see every single utility is on cooldown at this point, but now finally blue team is starting to turn things back around. Focus a lot of it going on to Naya here at the moment. So many Condies for him to deal with here. Thankfully, does have a lot of that passively being cleansed over there due to the choice of Empathic Bond, so he's going to be getting some freedom in that regard there too. And Atrastia again just wrecking house on Orange. He needs to get away. Only 700 health. He'll fall into the downstate just one more time here. Now Naya's a little bit low. I'm not sure if he wants to be in here doing all this damage, but doesn't really have much of a choice there. Kuve once again manages to get Orange back up into play, but unfortunately Kuve took a little bit too much in the process of that. Plague Res coming off onto Kuve at the moment. Red team not going to go for the Corpse Cleave. Instead going to use this opportunity to regenerate health here. And as well, with that said, keep in mind Orange just used the Plague form to res up a teammate, so he's not going to have that available now for his own self-defense if he needs to pop that for any sort of reason. At the same time, this is still a very, very close fight, but it should be ending over the next few seconds as both these These guys are definitely tiring out here. There's not much left for these guys to do, and unfortunately, someone's going to fall sooner or later here. Someone's not going to have enough initiative to cleave. Somebody's not going to have enough health to resurrect themselves, so we're going to see this happening now. Nice fear connects over here onto Atrastia as Kuve once again goes for a res. Naya so low here. Orange and Kuve both at extremely high health pools. Atrastia forced out of the fight, but immediately jumping back in onto Orange here once again as it continues on. And we're just going to see Atrastia keeping that fight going. But unfortunately, Naya's out of play now, so that'll leave Atrastia weak and vulnerable. Fear connects with a mark over there. Big mistake by Atrastia on porting back, but an excellently placed Fear mark throws Atrastia down, and Atrastia can do nothing about this now. Naya, he's going to go down too, and that's the end of it, guys. Elemental Juice Glass is going to take the 2-1, and they're going to move on to the semifinals of ESL Weekly Cup number 9. That'll be the end of that set, guys. We're going to take about a 2-minute break. And when we do come back, we're going to be joining you from our other round of 8 game here in the bottom of the brackets, which is going to end up being between Team Crow and Trading Post Campers. Be right back, guys, with more of ESL Weekly Cup number 9.
I could outrun a centaur.
Alright guys, we're coming back now in the second round of 8 game that we're going to be showing here on stream today. It's going to be Team Crow on the red side, once again with Legendary Guardian, DPS Guardian obviously, with an Elementalist here playing DD Celestial Strength at the moment, and then Trading Post Campers over here on the blue side with the Milo and Climax Odium. Milo has actually switched to Warrior, bit of an interesting change up there too, as they were running it with a DPS Guardian in the last round, and the DPS Guardian did seem to synergize pretty well, to be completely honest with the build. Climax Odium was running this control engine here with Rifle. Again, very good control can be exercised with Climax's build, due to the fact that, again, he's got the freeze grenades, always a good way to CC opponents, as well as the pull coming out from Toolkit, as well as the Immobilize and the Overcharge shot here on Rifle. He has quite a bit of ways to control the opponent's kind of movements, and with that said, that would have synergized extremely well with a DPS Guardian, as again, the DPS Guardian's overall effective damage does rely pretty heavily on your target being immobilized and or in a spot where you can control where he's at. Moving on from that though, Milo has decided to play Warrior instead, and is going to be running with Valkyrie's Hambo, and this will just add more CC into the mix here. Red team is going to be put into a very defensive state for the majority of this fight due to the builds that we see these guys running. There's going to be a whole plethora of CC coming into play. Just in general, a lot of Kandi pressure is going to come out here too, because now Combustive Shot is going to be in play wherever they're fighting, and the burn ticks that Milo will be sending out in general there too. So they are going to go for a little bit more of a bruiser composition here with the two of these guys, and hope that they can just kind of CC down their opponents and just whack them while they're CC'd there, and that should work fairly well too. But once again though, the build is fairly standard. There's nothing too out of the ordinary with it. It's 00626, lots of AoE, lots of CC, pretty much what you would expect from Hambo. But other than that guys, we are set to go, so as soon as our teams are prepared, we shall begin with round 1.
I could outrun a centaur.
The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy.
Alright folks, and with the gates opening up in 3 seconds, once again, it is Team Crow on the red side or the right side of the map versus Trading Post Campers on the blue side or the left side of the map. The game getting started here. Both teams heading towards middle. We are going to see a bit of stealth coming out here from Climax Odium. Climax accidentally actually uses his 5th ability on Rifle there. They are going to come out of stealth in the middle of the field here, but the blue team unfortunately does not have much to punish that, so that generally speaking is not going to be too big of a deal. Elementalist does get hit by nades and will now be thrown into combat because of that here, as you can see at the moment, but once again, nobody really opting to engage fully just as of yet, so no consequences will be had. Climax though wastes the freeze grenades. Now we're just kind of seeing them both toss grenades into play here until we're seeing them both kind of whittle away at each other until somebody moves in, but there's the engagement. Elementalist dives in. Good dodge by Climax to get out of the way of that, but we got the Pokeball coming in here once again from Legendary. Climax forced to pop Elixir as to get out of that, but still going to be able to get out of that. Pops his heal there too, and we still saw about 50% of his health pool being knocked out. Not good now, as that'll obviously be on cooldown. This is a really good opportunity to use the crate. They're jumbled up here, but we're not going to see that, unfortunately. At the same time, now you move over to Legendary's point of view. Lots of Kandis going on to him here. He is absolutely locked down. Forced to pop Renewed Focus. Definitely goes out at the right time. We had a lot of crap going on to him there, but still, he's under a lot of pressure. He needs needs to get away. Elementalist, you can see, sticking very close to him, trying his best to keep him up and rolling here. Red team now on the extreme defensive here as they fall back. Pin down does connect, follow that immediately into a magnet pull. 5 stacks of confusion and a huge rally of CCs there. Comes out on the Legendary to knock him out of play. Elementalist tries to go for the res. Milo had stabbed though, and the Wave of Light did not knock back. And because of that, Elementalist unfortunately is going to be unsuccessful in the attempt to get Legendary back up into play. And now, blue team, Trading Post Campers, is going to take a pretty dominant game 1. And they will now just be one short victory away from moving on to the semifinals to take on, I believe what will be Elemental Juice Glass will be the team they'll face there. But obviously, again, here, Red Team still has that one more opportunity. Team Crow does have that one more opportunity to come back in the second game. It was still a pretty close fight at the start, but unfortunately some crucial mistakes there, getting locked down at the opener that we saw coming in, or apologies, not making too good of use of the opener coming into play there. Climax Odium, as we saw, was able to get out of the way. Had he not had that Elixir S, it would have easily been a very quick kill due to the Pokeball that was thrown down, but unfortunately, they had the cooldowns ready for that. They used their kind of ace card a little bit too early, and because of that, left themselves extremely vulnerable for the rest of the fight. And blue team, Trading Post Campers, was able to punish that very hard, locking down Legendary with a big Condi spike, as well as that CC spike that we saw that managed to fully take him into the downstate. And unfortunately, Elementalist too, just not able to get that res off there quickly enough due to them having enough Corpse Cleave. But anyway, guys, game 2 should get started here in just a second. As soon as our teams are prepped and ready to go here, we're going to get started.
The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy.
As a quick reminder, once again, guys, ESL is doing a gem giveaway over on their Twitter. If you go ahead over and follow them at ESL Guild Wars 2 and retweet the tweet they have about that, you can go ahead and be entered for a chance to win 800 gems. But the game has begun, so let us see. Red team is actually going to take a different path this time, heading up towards the northern side to fight in the closer quarters area instead of down the south side where they have more options to escape if the fight goes awry. But at the same time, they're reducing the Ellie, diving in over here onto Climax Odium, going to attempt to lock him down, not using any of the big cooldowns here just as of yet due to the fact that, again, it was blue team who engaged this time. Legendary, though, still under a lot of pressure, forced to use the triple block on focus here already as Climax continues to chase him. Thankfully, gets out of the way, that big burst there, too, with his heal. Diving into the Climax Odium, no Pokeball just as of yet, might have been able to do that, but at the same time, his Elixir S is still up, so even if they do try to do that, there we go, there's the Elixir S pop, and oh, again, missed time with the circle there, so not going to lock him down, but these Condis may still be enough to take Climax into the downstate, and there you have it. Milo, though, going to try to come in and save him. Banner coming down, no, oh, a botched interrupt there, oh my goodness, Legendary completely missed the banish that was going on to Milo there, and because of that, we saw Climax getting up no trouble whatsoever. Oof, again, just 2 steps forward, he would have knocked him back and interrupt that, and that would have been the game, but huge mistake by Legendary. Anyway, getting back into the fight now. We do see Elementalist currently being locked down by Climax Odium. Good re-engagement from Legendary, though, jumping immediately onto him, getting a huge damage spike. They might have another opportunity to knock him out here over the next few seconds. At the same time, Milo is now with him, too. As you can see, doing that damage, doing a lot of that pressure that the longbow is going to bring into play here. And at the same time, that'll force Legendary out for the time being. Now, as we switch our point of view over onto Climax, see how he's doing. He has, generally speaking, managed to circumnavigate away from the opponents on Team Crow, so he's going to be all right here. And now it's just going to be kiting away with grenades. They do have to be a little bit careful, Red Team does, if they decide to kind of chase Climax all this time, because keep in mind, too, Climax can kind of just keep tossing grenades behind him, and that's going to be a very effective strategy in general if they continue to chase him kind of endlessly there, as those Condis will eventually whittle away. But we did see, though, right there, Legendary going into the downstate, Milo as well with a stab stomp, having no trouble knocking him out whatsoever, and unfortunately, Elementalist does not want to continue the fight, so he's just going to take the knockout here. And with that said, Trading Post Campers is going to take a victory here, giving them the 2-0 and moving them on to the semifinals to take on Elemental Juice Glass. That game itself should be coming up next, guys, so stick around for more of the ESL Weekly 2-on-2 Cup coming up in just a few minutes.
I feel good.
Alright guys, and welcome back once again. We're now headed into our first semi-final of the day. Now keep in mind, I don't know if we'll get to cover the other semi-final. We're kind of trying to keep in sync with the other arena that's happening for the top half of the bracket, but assuming we still have some matches to show up there, we'll be grouping up with them after this game. But anyway, we're headed into our first semi-final now, which is going to be between Elemental Juice Glass. We saw take that very epic and very close set versus This Chicken Loves Naya, but of course, Cuvée and Orange for this team ended up coming out on top. And then as well, we're going to be seeing Trading Post Campers once more running with the Warrior and NG composition. So much CC and so much annoying condies coming out from this team here. It's going to be a lot for our blue-red team to deal with, especially considering, again, that Orange is going to be at the disadvantage of running a Necro on this map. Again, keep in mind, too, that Orange will probably have a little bit better of a time kind of getting out of play because of the fact that he'll be able to throw it in that Flesh Worm without having to worry about it getting gimped behind the lines there. The Thief won't be an issue like it was on the previous set, but still, obviously, the Necro will have to be considered when these guys do engage on their fights. Anyway, however, Cuvée will probably be sticking with the same build, DD Celestial Ellie, so no surprises there. And as soon as we are ready to go, guys, we're going to get started. Still best of 3 sets as well, so first team to 2 points moves on to the grand finals, and as well gets guaranteed 800 gems per player. As a quick reminder as well, don't forget that there is also a North American version of this cup that'll be happening later today in about 5 hours, actually. The Misspedia Weekly 2 vs 2 Cup will also be happening tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on this channel. That is also an open sign-ups cup. If you guys are interested in participating on that, keep in mind, obviously, it is a North American cup, so you must have access to the North American servers to be able to play in this. But once again, if you'd like to sign up for that, just go ahead over to battlefy.com, battlefy.com/Misspedia, and there should be a direct link over to there. Conversely, you can also head over to the PvP events forum, and there should be a sticky post there with more information, not only that cup, but our weekly Conquest Cup as well. Other than that, guys, though, the gate is now opening up, so let us see who is going to take round 1 in Elemental Juice Glass versus TPC. No engagement from either side just as of yet, but it looks like Cuvée wants to get a little bit aggressive. Doesn't be careful, but oh, manages to get the Lightning Whip off onto Climax Odium there, so that'll throw their engagement off. But hold on. Let's see. Oh, they do. Oh, no, that's so bad for Orange. Again, they understand the importance there of the Worm immediately, not even going for full DPS on anyone on the red team there, immediately going for the positioning over the Worm. They're going to lock that down. That eliminates any chance for Orange to get out of play. It's going to be reliant only on the Spectre Walk, which he's already used. Crate comboing into that. So many connies on Orange here. Has to use the CC. Trying to get out of the way of the LOS here right now. Thankfully, should be. No, wait, yes, so just gets that channel off there as we saw Milo going for a knockback. Corrupt Boon as well, immediately following into that. Very good control of the scenario here by Orange, staying very calm, even though he's under so much pressure here. Climax Odium, though, with that Corrupt, that's going to throw him out of commission for a couple seconds here. We're going to switch over to his point of view just to kind of watch here. You can see he's also has his crate thrown down, but again, he's in an offensive position, so he's not going to be able to pick up as many of the med kits here. That's not going to matter too much, though. He's got an eye, and he's got stealth on Orange, gets the pull off, connects the 5 stacks confusion onto him. Thankfully had the Worm prep to go, though, but almost immediately forced to pop that. Is now going to put Orange on in a kind of defensive stance here once again, as he's going to be without any escape for the time being. But Climax, though, getting a little bit too aggressive, to be completely honest here, dives right into the Hornet's Nest for the red team, and he's now going to be under so much pressure, so low here, too. He's got nothing left to res. Thankfully, did have the Tots Elixir Art. I believe he's actually getting that passive trait, which puts all these abilities off Conan when he goes below 25% health, so that proc actually managed to save his life there, to be completely honest. Without that, he would have gone down. And as well, that extra 4 seconds bottom of the time needed to get Healing Turret down, so he's going to be alright. Good dodge getting out of the way there, too, of that Ellie Burst that was just coming into play. Milo now coming for peels onto him, too, and now Cuvée is going to be a little bit more careful because he's kind of in enemy territory. Overall, though, the pace of the fight kind of slowing down here for the next few seconds. Both teams, I think, are going to fall back here, try to get a little bit of regen going. You can see, though, Orange diving in there onto Climax. Gets a couple more Condi spikes off on him, but nothing too significant here. He does go a little bit too aggressively again, though, if I do say so myself. And as you saw there, Milo able to get a very nice hammer combo off onto him. Connects a pull as well as a pin down coming into play. This could be trouble for Orange. Thankfully, however, because Climax had to play defensively there was no overcharge shot or anything coming in there to interrupt the heal that Orange got off. And a Corrupt Boon followed immediately into a Condi spike from Orange will knock him down. Thankfully, banners available there from Milo, and thankfully, too, Climax had enough downstate health in order to get res by that, and that'll actually waste Orange's Plague. So once again, without having access to that Plague here, too, that's going to be a pretty big cooldown being wasted, which could have been useful for getting up Cuvée a little bit later on to the fight. But still, We're going to see how he fights regardless of that. Worm also comes down here too. He's now going to try to probably move the fight away from this, trying to see where he actually put the worms down at. I believe it's right over here in this corner. And yep, there you go. Already forced to pop that though, so now once again we'll be without that. And overall though, in Climax, still definitely the prime focus of this fight here as they just try so hard to take him out of play. Kuve specifically has just been on him for this entire game so far. You can see him just tossing Elixir. He's been in stealth pretty much at every single opportunity he's had the ability to pop that, unfortunately, so he hasn't really been able to do much himself. But that's generally speaking a good thing too, especially against Orange there, because if they were really allowing Climax to go free casting here, allowing him to do all the damage and do all the CC that he was doing, Red Team would not last that long, whatever. They really need to lock this kind of player down, because it's very dangerous to leave him in play, leave him kind of unchecked. They'd much rather have to deal with the Hambo, which has a lot, which again, you kind of think about the animations of the Hambo. They're a lot easier to see coming, they're a lot easier to dodge, and I would, personally speaking, much rather deal with that and have that kind of free casting on me than I would deal with an NG, which again, those animations, especially things like Overcharge Shot, are just instantaneous. You have very little indication of them coming, so you're almost always going to be forced to pop a cooldown if you don't want to take the full duration of that. But anyway, combat getting a little bit more intense here at the moment. Arn specifically taking a huge Condi spike. Climax took one too, but he handled it much better, and as well, I think he had a heal in the middle of that. So with that said, we're finally going to see Orange going into the downstate again. Milo coming in for a stomp. Kuve tries so hard to get the res, but no, it does not end up happening there. Climax as well will now be in a pretty safe position with that Necro knocked out of play. That was one of the big issues. The corrupt boons were causing Climax so much trouble here because he was getting all those, because he was kind of losing all his boons and getting them turned into Condi. So unfortunately, without Orange in play, and with it just being Kuve versus a somewhat tanky NG and a rather tanky Warrior, we are probably going to be seeing TPC take game 1 here, and putting them just one victory away from moving on to the Grand Finals. And of course, they obviously still have to take Kuve out. If Kuve can 1v2 this, then they obviously win, but based on kind of what we've got here for the comp on TPC, I don't believe the chances of that happening are super duper high. But of course, Kuve will try to prolong this as long as humanly possible, because he can. And yeah, there's not much else to talk about. But anyway, talking a little bit again about that fight there was very good control of the scenario there by the red team. To be completely honest, I would have definitely gave them the advantage in that game, and whatever ended up happening there with Orange, he definitely made a huge mistake, as throughout that entire fight, he was doing a phenomenal job of kind of staying away from those lockdown scenarios, making sure he wasn't putting himself into a corner, but it was really just that one play, to be honest, that kind of made the game. Red team specifically had control over the blue team, specifically Climax Odium, for that entire match, and they got so close so many times to knocking out Climax that you had to reckon that eventually they were going to manage to get control. It was just that it took them so long to do it, and they were never able to successfully knock out Climax, that by the time that we ended up seeing Orange make the mistake, there wasn't really much Kuve was going to be able to do to get him back up into play, and that one mistake costs them really that entire round. I'm fairly confident, to be honest, that going into Game 2, we can see a much better play here by Elemental Juice Class. I would not count them out of this game at all just yet. I definitely think that going into Game 2, they should have if an even chance, if not a better chance again, now that they've kind of gotten a better sense of the play styles here for the blue team, to take Game 2, tie the setup, and throw us into a Game 3. At the same time, as for TPC, they also did a very excellent job there. Locking Orange down towards the end of that match was exactly what they needed to actually win that game there. They were having a lot of trouble doing that, but they finally managed to connect it, and again, that obviously gave them the game. So heading into Game 2, they're going to have to look for that again, but if they're able to pull it off for a second time, that'll give them an easy 2-0 to move on to the next game. Game 2, guys, will be starting in just a few seconds here. We just have to reload into the next map, and as soon as we have done so, as soon as our players have joined up, and as soon as ready-ups have happened, we will be getting started with round 2 of this set.
starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy.
I summon the power of the storm.
Alright folks, welcome back once again here to the ESL Weekly 2-on-2 Cup number 9. We are joining this in the middle of the first semifinal between Elemental Juice Glass and TPC. We just saw after a very long first game there, TPC coming out on top there. Throughout most of the fight though, it seemed, due to my opinion at least, that we saw Elemental kind of having the advantage there. They had much better control over their opponents, but we're going to see now how that carries into game 2. The engagement did end up going into the favor of Climax Odium at the very start. However, a good peel came out there from Cuvée and managed to get in and give Orange the space needed to survive here. Now, an interesting change-up, just to note this too, that we ended up seeing going into this game, and I'm not 100% sure if this was in play in the last game. I don't believe I checked, as again, we assumed that the builds were exactly the same, but Cuvée has actually switched to Mercy Runes. And again, that was what ended the last round, was the fact that Cuvée was unable to resurrect up Orange. And considering the fact that, again, Cuvée and Orange both probably know for the fact that Blue Team is just going to straight up focus the Necro because of how easy it is to kill it, that's not too bad of a move. It will, however, gimp Cuvé's damage by quite a bit, so they're still going to be relying pretty heavily on Orange to deal quite a bit of the damage here in this game. Anyway, however, going back into the combat itself here, we have seen a Blue Team kind of on a wild goose chase to knock out Orange, and Orange, unfortunately, is not really able to find the space needed to get away. Thankfully, however, with that worm coming off the Quilon, just goes for an immediate pop of that, and will finally get some distance between himself and his opponents. Now, will he be able to take any advantage for it, though, as of yet? But something else to keep in mind here, too, is the fact that while they are kind of wildly chasing Orange around the map, Cuvée is dealing a little bit of damage to these guys and is whittling them down, specifically Climax Odium, quite a bit here. Switching over to Milo's point of view, though, as Milo is the prime chaser of Orange here at the moment, you can see once again here is going to be connecting, and oh, this might be a little bit of trouble for Orange. Orange popping his Spectral Walker is probably going to port back in just a second, but Blue Team standing by here just in case he doesn't do that. And actually, no, does manage to get rid of that here, so won't have that. Gets locked down, knockdown, connecting. This will be him going into the downstate here. Cuvée as well coming in for a res on the Orange. Should connect, they get him back up. And now they're going to keep this fight going, but at the same time, we're looking at a much, much stronger Blue Team so far in this game. They're looking much, much better. Orange needs to just get away from this. He needs to get to a position. He needs to, generally speaking, he needs to just turn around and deal some damage to these guys, because right now, Milo's just wildly chasing him, and he hasn't really done anything to stop that. But here we go now, finally turning things around, and Pain also being popped there by Milo too. But as you saw there, Orange took a pretty big up versus him. Milo is going to be forced off the corpse, off of Orange there for the time being. There was Cuvée as well as Climax Odium are also fighting over here towards the side. Climax kind of had to escape from that through popping Elixir S, but we're finally seeing now Red Team kind of getting some breathing room in this fight, which they have for the past 3 minutes as this fight's been going on. They've lacked that. They've been under so much pressure, and they really haven't been able to do anything else besides trying to save Orange there. But now we're seeing a little bit of a change up in that regard. However, at the same time, another pull comes off from Climax. Orange unable to dodge that, unfortunately, though. So Orange is going to be put into another bit of a risky position here, but not too risky, as you can see here. Still handling himself quite well. Trying to turn some damage around over here on the Milo, though. Big damage spike does go onto him, specifically from Climax, as we see the Rifle 5 connecting over onto Orange. At the same time, though, Milo has been locked down by Cuvée. Milo about to go into the downstate. Orange just connecting that heal off there. I believe once again we had Climax's Odium's knockback just coming off going on a second too late there. And now Milo Kreitza has gone, or not Milo Kreitza, Milo has gone to the downstate and is going to get knocked out there by the Red Team. Very good again. Climax far too distracted with trying to knock Orange out of play. Got very, very close multiple times, but unfortunately just did not have enough to take it down on his own there. And with that said, with Milo going down, with Cuvée providing that additional... hold on. Climax coming in for a stomp. Does not happen, however. A little bit close there, but Orange is alright. Again, Cuvée with those Mercy Runes being a little bit safe, but it did manage to pay off. So with that said, Red Team Elemental Juice Glass takes Game 2 and is now going to tie the setup at 1-1 and throw us into a Game 3. Game 3 will be coming up in just a few moments here, guys, so stick around, and we'll be coming back to you as soon as our players have rejoined and are ready to go.
The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy.
Alright guys, we're back now at the conclusion of the first semifinal here between Elemental Juice Glass and TPC. Very, very close game so far in this set. As we saw in the first game there, Red Team doing an amazing job of locking down Climax Odium throughout the entire game, but one slip-up allowed the Blue Team to take that first game, and kind of the opposite here in Game 2, where we saw Blue Team pretty much locking down Orange for the first part of that fight, and then it eventually ended up turning around due to the fact that Climax was almost a little bit too distracted with trying to kill Orange. That did leave Milo open for the taking for Cuvée. Cuvée managed to knock him down and knock him out, and with that said, they were able to easily clean things up in a 2v1 there. So now going into Game 3, we're going to see how our teams change things up, if they change things up at all, and we have seen a rather large change-up, specifically on the side of Climax Odium here. He has gone full Condi Engie this time around in hopes of getting a little bit more of a passive damage playstyle here. Again, with the Celestial, he does rely a little bit more on the power to kind of do those big hits for him. With this Condi, he's going to be able to kind of just throw them onto Orange and let the Condis do the work there. It's a little bit more of a passive playstyle here, and to be honest, this may end up working. If they can, they've managed to get those Condi lockdowns on Orange quite a few times, and having the extra damage coming into play here through the choice of a Rabbit Amulet may just be what they need to push them over the edge. But anyway, combat getting started here. You can see Cuvée going in, trying to put the extra pressure onto Milo to get it off of Orange for the time being. Orange, as we would generally speaking expect, is being focused down here. Mobilization does connect, and a big hammer combo will force Orange into the Death Shroud here, though. Does put the fear onto Milo, and that'll force a pop of his stability, but at the same time, he's got Corrupt Boon ready to go, so if he wants to throw that on the Milo, now may be the time to do that there, especially considering how low he is going to be here at the moment. But once again, is still trying to kite away from this. Keep in mind, too, that Cuvée is still sitting very close by, still has a lot of support to bring into play here through Water Attunement, too. So if he does get low, Cuvée can very quickly rush over there, get a healing wave, get some cleanses off onto him, and keep him up and running. And obviously, again, those Mercy Runes, they'll help a lot when Orange goes down, because I can guarantee you, at least once in this matchup, Orange is going to go down. Now, however, we just saw there, look, that heal just got interrupted for Orange. Excellent pull comes out. That's going to throw Orange into the downstate. Both Climax and Milo going in for Stomp. Poison nades on the floor here. Cuvée trying to res, but no, not going to happen. Orange is out of play now, leaving only Cuvée up and alive. Cuvé's going to rush away, but there's nothing Cuvée can do. Look at this. Blue team's at full health. That's it. It's over. Blue team, TPC, should easily be able to wipe things up now, and that huge mistake there by Orange, unfortunately not able to dodge out of the way of that pull, that one magnet pull. The Dream magnet pull ended the set there. And now with that said, TPC is going to get guaranteed 800 gems, as well as a spot in the grand finals for a chance to boost that up to 2,000 gems per player. We obviously do have to see Cuvée still eliminated, and there is still the small chance that Cuvée is able to 1v2, but I'm fairly confident, based on the way the game is currently going and based on the builds the blue team is running, that is not going to happen, and we should see an easy cleanup for TPC here. And with that said, there you have it. Cuvée gets locked down, and as such, TPC is moving on, guys. So we're going to take another short break here. I believe we may have to arena hop, which may kind of lengthen the duration a little bit here. But once we have swapped arenas or once we have gotten the next teams in play, we shall begin with either our other semifinal or the grand finals. We kind of have to check in on what's going on with the upper bracket. But regardless, more of the ESL Weekly 2-on-2 Cup number 9 is coming up in just a few minutes, guys. Stick around for more.
Everything comes and goes in stages. Let the synapse rest over the world where you're hanging weightless on the precipice. I'm going all in where the clouds start to thin, where my heart is still been written out on
Alright guys, welcome back once again to the ESL 2-on-2 Cup number 9. We are staying in the same arena, but we're joining you from the second semifinal, which is going to end up being between We Wreck, You Pay, and Bird is the Word. We haven't seen either of these teams play yet today, so we're going to very quickly take a look at their builds, starting off with Bird is the Word. I believe this is the team that runs with the double pirate rune, so not too sure how the chat is going to be feeling about that one. But anyway, taking a quick look, we've got a Spirit Ranger with Celestial over here being used by Tamer YV. Runes of the Pirate, obviously, as the name would imply. Sword Dagger, as well as a short bow, with the traits being 0464. Bit of an interesting trait split here for a Spirit Ranger. Usually we do see the extra points going over here into Nature Magic in order to get that last Spirit trait, but that will not be the case here today. And however, keep in mind that because of that choice, when and if the Nature Spirit's brought out, if again they end up getting into a bit of an odd situation where both the members of the blue team are in the down state and that Spirit ends up getting bursted down by accident, it won't actually get rezzed up. So that'll create a little bit more security from the red team when trying to go for Corpse Cleave. They won't have to watch out for that. Granted, again, they won't necessarily know that that trait is not being utilized unless they're peeking on the stream, which is pretty likely to be honest, but still, just something to keep in mind there. And then as well, we have Trust Me, I'm Engineer here running with 60062. We'll run with Pistol Shield, Celestial Engie, Runes of the Pirate as well. Pretty bulky team, to be completely honest here. There is going to be quite a bit of muscle to bulk through here for the red team to bust through if they want to take these guys out, but they should be able to do it. Moving on to the red team here, we have Lord Asura first of all, who is going to be running with, I believe, DD Celestial Ellie. No Blasting Staff trait to be found here, so again, pretty much the same build we've been seeing Kuve and quite a few other Ellies today run as well, with the double dagger. Again, lots of support comes out into play from the build, as well as a pretty decent amount of DPS as well through the boosting of its stats as the fight goes on through Runes of Strength. And then Hiba is actually going to be playing here today. Now again, for anyone that doesn't know the story with Hiba already, he is actually a North American player that has recently transferred over to Europe to play for the Cheese Mode roster. So this will be interesting, as this is, I believe, his first appearance in a European tournament. I'm not sure if he played in ESL last week or anything like that, but we are seeing him for the first time, at least in a 2v2 Cup, play today. He's running with... hold on, I need to see if he's trolling me, first of all. He might be. We'll just, we'll let the game start, and we'll see what he's actually running when the game begins. So as soon as our players are ready, guys, we'll get started. Keep in mind as well that this is still a best-of-3 semifinal. First team to 2 points will be moving on to the next round. And that as well will include the guaranteed 800 gems, as they will be moving on to the next round, which is the Grand Finals. The Grand Finals, as a quick reminder too, and we end up getting to that in just a little bit here, is going to be a best-of-5, which will be the first team to 3 points will win. It will give, will be an even best-of-5, however, as this is not double elimination. And as a reminder one more time, from our friends at ESL themselves, they are going to be giving away an 800 gem code to one of you lucky guys in the audience or on Twitter. If you would like to win that gem code, just go ahead over to @ESL Guild Wars 2 on Twitter. Go ahead and give them a follow, and they also have a tweet over there. Just go ahead and retweet that, and you'll be entered for a chance to win that code. But once again, guys, the first game of this set should be getting started in just a moment here, so as soon as our players are good to go, we're going to see who's coming out on top. And Hibba is not actually trolling me. Holy crap, what is this build? Rampagers? So I'm not sure if he's doing this out of spite, because I said the other day on stream that Rampagers is a completely useless amulet and is not viable in any scenario ever, so I'm not sure if he's trying to prove me wrong here, but he's running with Runes of the Balefire, which I've never seen anyone use before in a tournament ever, as well as a Rampagers amulet, which is, again, I don't know. Well, we're going to see how it pays off here. Going into play once again, we can see that Trust Me I'm NG getting a lot of the focus on him to start things off, and this is again a surprising amount of burst for this team, to be completely honest. Trust Me is under a lot of pressure. Condi Spike too is going to be a huge issue for him. Might have to bring down Supply Crate to save himself. Thankfully has Elixir R, so there's a pretty big chance that he's going to get himself back up, and there you have it. He's back up into play once more, but he'll have to instantly throw it in the crate in order to get access to these healing kits here if he wants to keep himself up and running. And so far here, Red Team just absolutely destroying here at the moment. Blue team has not had a chance to breathe yet, but once more, Hibba is going to be so squishy because of his, whoa, that's a banner, because of his choice to run with the Rampagers amulet here. He's going to melt like a candlestick. Going into the downstate, you can see Trust Me I'm NG, though, is still under a lot of pressure here, too. Lord Asura at the same time going to attempt to stomp. Both teams going for stomps, but unfortunately, Hibba gets knocked out first. That'll get Trust Me I'm NG back up into play, and as well, leaving only Lord Asura to 1v2 this matchup, which is going to be a pretty good indicator that we should see Bird is the word take this game. Obviously, again, Lord Asura can still 1v2 this, so you can pull it off. It'll still be their game, but based on what we have here on the blue team, they're fairly bulky with our amulet choices as well as general play styles, so they shouldn't really have any trouble. Cleaning this matchup up. And there you have it. Lord Asura goes down, and that'll be the end of game 1 in favor of Bird is the word. So to talk a little bit here, Hibba's build, as we reload into the map with Runes of the Balefire. I honestly don't even know what they do. It's burn runes here, so obviously, again, going for, yep, and he's changing it, yep. My point about Rampager's amulet still stands strong, ladies and gentlemen. That amulet is completely useless. And I will not retract that statement until somebody plays a build in a tournament that works, and then I will retract it. But, yeah. Unfortunately, Rampagers, while it did allow him to deal quite a bit of spike, as we saw there at the start of that game, unfortunately left him so squishy. And the second blue team, I think, caught on to the fact that he was running with that amulet, they just swapped target to him, and he unfortunately just got absolutely destroyed. I think they were kind of banking on the ability to surprise their opponents with that extra spike, take them down quick enough before they could catch on to it, and hope to take a victory that way. But unfortunately, that plan did not go through so well. So with that said, Hibba is now going to be playing a build which he's much more known for playing at the moment, with the Celestial Rifle build, Runes of the Hullbreck, and the 60044 split. He plays this build a lot on North America as well. But once again, guys, Game 2 should be getting started in just a few moments. So as soon as our players are good to go, we'll be seeing if we'll see a 2-0 from Bird is the word, or if We Wreck You Pay is going to come back and tie the setup at 1-1.
The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy. Let's get this started.
Alright, and coming directly out of the gates here. Red team is going to take the southern exit. That doesn't mean too much, though. Blue team as well here. Just kind of pulling back here at the moment. I think they're a little bit more cautious this time, just in case Hiba is still running with that build, so they don't want to be kind of out in the open here to get hit by that. But at the same time, good positioning here from Hiba. Does get a nice pull-off on a Trust Me Amenji, connects the 5 stacks of confusion here, but at the same time, as you can see, we do have the rest of the red team. Lord Asura specifically is kind of forced to fall back here just due to the fact that he took quite a beating there as well with the opening engagement. Switching our point of view very quickly on the Trust Me Amenji to see how he's hanging, as again, he is still going to be the prime focus, and generally speaking, red team has a little bit more pressure to offer here, so with that said, Trust Me will end up being on the defense for a little bit of this fight until they can kind of get a turnaround going. But red team is quite a bit more tankier that time. Like I was saying, with Hiba on Rampagers, that was the crux. That's what ended the game. He was far too squishy, and he couldn't really tank any of the Kandi damage that the blue team was throwing onto him that game, and it ended the round very, very quickly. This game is going to be a much, much different scenario because of the fact that Hiba's a lot tankier. He's running with a much tankier amulet, and that is going to prolong the duration of these fights by quite a bit. Now, we did see Trust Me going down for the first time. Elixir R was used there, but at the same time, we still had Tamer also getting somewhat low here too. No pop out of his Spirit of Nature just as of yet, but he is going to do so now. Now that the fight is getting a little bit rough for his team, it's good to kind of bring that out, get the passive regen going, and just in general giving yourself a little bit more security. With him going down here too, it could be a very good opportunity to get himself back up, but he has screwed up that opportunity and is now in the down state permanently unless Trust Me can get him back up. Trust Me's still very far away from actually getting a res, and with the Spirit going down there, he's going to pay even much, much more of a price because he has not opted to go with the extra points here in Nature Magic, so the Spirit going down, red team has the security of killing it, as well as not only killing that, but they're also going to take down Trust Me. And with that, red team, in a very quick end to that game, will be taking round 2. They will tie the set up at 1-1, and we'll be heading into a round 3, guys. And to talk a little bit about kind of how that game ended up going there. Red team, again, much, much stronger that time. Having the kind of muscle necessary to push into their opponent's territory was kind of what they needed. They were lacking that last time. I explained that already there with Hiba being so squishy. Unfortunately, was not really able to be in those fights, and the second we saw blue team catching on him, the Kandis rolled him into the downstate. So with him having that bulk, they were able to go in there, and blue team got kind of pushed into a corner. They weren't really doing a lot to retaliate versus the pressure the red team was putting onto them, and it just kind of ticked them down over time. We didn't really see much of an effort to try and take out members of the red team. And they just got, like I said, they got pushed into a corner. So with that said, going here into game 3, they're going to have to find a little bit better of an avenue, possibly some better positioning, possibly try to evacuate from fights, try to keep the fight moving or something like that. That could be a rather good scenario for Trust Me Amenji. If he switches to Grenade Kit, that is. With his current build, unfortunately, they are kind of being forced to fight in a singular spot because they're running with Bomb Kit as well as Elixir Gun here. So with that said, they're not really going to, Trust Me is not going to have that advantage of having the grenades to kind of, if he needs to run, toss those behind him and put those cover Kandis onto his opponents. I think that may be worth looking into though for this game. But anyway, we will see in just a second as the game gets started. We'll give the players the signal to ready up now. And as soon as they're good to go, we will get started.
The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy.
Alright guys, so here we go. Final game of this semi-final. 800 gems as well as a spot in the grand finals is on the line here. So let's see who's going to take it. Lord Asura engaging once more here. We'll take the risk on diving into enemy territory, but blue team falling back this time. They are going to force Lord Asura to kind of take a riskier play here and also force Hiba to come into play. And as you can see, that is definitely paying off with Lord Asura taking much more damage off the bat here, as well as forcing him to pop quite a few more cooldowns, to be completely honest. Now, Crate has come down here from Hiba too, so they're still going for the full lockdown. Blue team does try to change target over here to Hiba, and this will prompt him to fall back and allow Lord Asura to kind of DPS Trust Me Amenji down here as this is all going on. Trust Me still obviously going to be the prime target here. Big old bomb is thrown down to try and dissipate his enemies away from this. He is going to throw it on healing turret here too, and now again without that, really lacking a lot of things to keep him up and rolling here, so Tamer will have to do that job. And another guy, apologies, I need to correct myself there earlier, as that was actually Trust Me's crate that ended up coming down. That was Hiba's crate right there. He has gone down. Good overcharge shot comes in there from Hiba. Knocks Trust Me completely away and off the Elixir R here. Lord Asura comes in for a stomp, and it connects onto Trust Me, knocking him completely out of play. Tamer as well is going to go into the downstate, and with that said, a very quick end, very good CC, very good coordination, and very good lockdown here by We Wreck You Pay. They're going to take a 2-1 victory. They're getting 800 gems per player, and they're moving on to the grand finals, guys. And with that said, we have now our grand finals teams. It's going to be We Wreck You Pay versus Trading Post Campers. That game is coming up in just a few minutes, guys, so stick around for the conclusion of the ESL Weekly 2-on-2 Cup number 9 between those two teams, coming up in just a few minutes. Alright guys, welcome back for the last time to the ESL Weekly 2-on-2 Cup number 9. We're now here at the grand finals between We Wreck You Pay and Trading Post Campers. This is now going to be a best of 5 set.